artists tore society apart, but I won't let it turn.
Alright, everyone, it is REDinFamy and I'm excited. You know why I'm excited? Because I'm here with one of the creators of Dying Light 2. So can you please introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are and your role on this project.
Okay, so my name is Tymon Smektala and I am the lead game designer of the game.
The lead game designer. Okay. So I'm really giddy right now because I'm a big fan of the now Dying Light franchise.
Okay.
Played the first one. The first one was my favorite game. It was my game of the year. I love the whole dynamic of parkour and kind of like traversing through this crazy world of zombies. And y'all, to me, like took the zombie franchise to a whole nother level. So adding on to that, we're moving on to Dying Light 2. I know in Dying Light 1, it was kind of like a roadblock because y'all wanted to do so much.
Yes.
But like the hardware at that time was kind of preventing y'all from like doing more than you want. Was y'all able to achieve that now with Dying Light 2?
No, I think so. I hope so. One thing we realized after the first game was the fact that in the first game you had, as you mentioned, so much freedom in parkouring and in combat that it felt really good to the player. But one thing that didn't give you that kind of freedom was the narrative, the story. You had to follow the linear story. So this is something we wanted to change. This is something we wanted to have in Dying Light 2, where in the story you have equal amounts of freedom as in actual gameplay. So that's why we introduce something which we are calling the narrative sandbox. This is your ability to make choices that change the narrative, but also the city around you. So that's the biggest new thing in Dying Light 2, and I think we were able to achieve that. We are very happy with where we are. The game comes out next year, spring 2020, so it's basically like a last stretch for us, and yeah, we're happy with what we have.
So they said spring 2020. We already know there's a lot coming out next year with the technology. So I got to see the demo as far as what there's to come for Dying Light 2, and I like how the different choices that you make determines the outcome of the city, pretty much. And because I've seen the outcome of the city that we got a chance to see, I've seen different zombies like I never seen before. So with those different zombies, of course, this game really relied on a lot of melee weapons as well. Are there going to be other weapons that we see to kind of take down those new zombies that we discover in Dying Light 2?
Okay, so one thing about the zombies. So all of the favorites from the first game, they make a return. So if you like the bashing them on their heads, they are there as well. Of course, they look slightly different, but they are there. We also introduced a couple of new ones. And in the demo here at E3, we have a new one which is called the Drowner. He is connected to all of the areas where there's water in that area. And he basically, one of his attacks is like you just travel close to like a pond of water and he suddenly jumps on you and attacks you. He has like these very cool spikes on his head. So this is really crazy. But that's not the only one. And one thing also that's worth mentioning is that those guys are also connected to choices and consequences. So you can, for example, have them in your game or not, depending on what kind of choices you make. Then when it comes to weapons, actually this is still a melee-focused, melee-based game. So axes, hatchets, maces, baseball bats, swords, all of that stuff is there in Dying Light 2, but we also have some ranged weapons. And this is one thing that we were showing here at E3 as well. It's a weapon named Scorpio, which basically shoots those huge arrows that blow you away. But when it's out of ammo, you can actually make a switch and use it as a two-handed mace. So that's the way we keep the combat fresh all the time.
I've seen that, and also with the gameplay, I see you have to really think quick on your feet.
Yes.
Like, that was one of the things I thought was really dope. Like, you really have to think. You can't take too long, and you have to pay attention, pretty much learn the game. I know a lot of games and a lot of gamers nowadays want everything taught to them. It's like you really have to learn the environment of the game. What inspired that? Because like in zombie movies or horror movies alone, you gotta think on your feet or you're gonna get like eaten up.
So that was that was one of the inspiration. Another one is that we don't want Dying Light 2 to be a survival game, like a really survival heavy, but still we want those themes, survival themes, to be present in the game. And this is something what happens in survival. You just enter this world which is kind of alien to you, so you have to discover it by yourself. You have to look at what's happening around you and try to analyze what's towards that, and then you have to learn those things. Sometimes in a very painful way. Like you start running on a platform, and suddenly you realize those kinds of platforms, they will just break and they will fall in front of your feet. So this is the feeling we wanted to achieve in this game.
So I like how quick it is, and like someone that's in parkour wants to think that long is something, or try to see what to do. I see even when you was jumping down into one of the places, there was a zombie in the way, but there was a hole in the wall.
Yes.
Like seeing different ways to traverse was very interesting. Now, one of the things from the first game, a lot of critics was saying that they wish they had more to the story. I see with this one is a big story with this one. Of course, this takes place 15 years after the events in Dying Light 1, and how you can change the story depending on how you play it. In certain games, you could change the story or whatever, or you make these different decisions, but they never really take toll to the consequences. Was that something that you heard from the community and from the critics, and really wanted to like add on and adapt to for Dying Light? So you just come with a full package, and there's nothing for anybody to say.
Exactly, that's the idea. And also the other thing about the community that you mentioned is we have some crazy guys. Like I really believe we have an army of
they created some crazy levels
exactly.
too.
But the thing about, like for example, we have a guy that has played the Dying Light, the first one, for 4,500 hours. So that's basically like a lifetime. And there are plenty of guys like that. So we wanted to create a game which really gives them the reason to replay it. Because in the first one, of course, we have added a lot of stuff afterwards, but this is just a linear story, so you have to replay it over and over again. In this game, you still need to replay it. You can replay it, but this can be different each time when you play it. So that's why one of the reasons why we introduced that.
Awesome. So multiplayer wise, co-op, I know you just want to focus on co-op at this E3 before you announce anything later on. So with the co-op, you mentioned, okay, you can go through the story with your player. Are you able to pick different players, or y'all just sticking with Aiden?
No,
and
so what happens? Yes. So what happens in when you play it in co-op? There's always the host. There's always the main player. So basically, he is the Aiden. He makes those decisions. But other players join him. There are some visual customization options. So it's not like you have clones.
Thank you, because that was like a problem. Like we all look alike, you know.
No, so it's not like that. Ones. It's not like you run with clones of Aiden. Each player can look differently, and but the thing is that if you play in the host city, you see what kind of decisions he makes. You see how he shapes the city around him. But then the next day, the next evening, the next weekend, whatever is your preferred session playtime, you can invite friends to your city, and they get to experience how you shape this city, how you make this city look, and how you change the narrative. So this is something that really supports the idea of non-linear game, where you can play in other people's games and see other versions of the story.
All right, so this is my last question. Okay.
Okay.
So we were speaking about mashups. Okay. So there's a difference between crossovers and mashups. With Dying Light, if you had a favorite game in the past or now, what would you like to mash up with Dying Light? Doesn't have to deal anything with zombies at all.
Okay.
What would you think would be a perfect mashup with Dying Light, even if it's goofy or even if it's serious?
Okay. So I think I think this would be something in space where the gravity is low, so the jumps are higher and you can go faster. So maybe something, I don't know, maybe something old school classic like a Moon Patrol, for example.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. So yeah, that's what I would like to see.
That would be cool. We had like Battlestar Galactica, Dying Light. You gotta go through the whole big ass shit with zombies or something like that. But thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for
So
having
when
me.
is it? You said spring?
Yes, spring 2020, PC, PS4, Xbox One.
All right, and we hope the next ones as well too, like PS5 and the Scarlet and things like that. But thank you so much as well. Appreciate it. And anything you want to tell the fans to be excited for Dying Light?
This is I always use that opportunity because this is very important to us. Guys, you make this thing happen. Without you, we wouldn't have the confidence and we wouldn't have the energy to do it. So it's all to you. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Thomas. Appreciate your work. Thank you. All right, guys. It is REDinFamy, your master geekers. Make sure you check us out, geekgametype.com and other platforms as well.